Sup, Tracy?
Hey, Jeff. How you doing?
Good. Well, welcome to Exmo Radio, where we talk about Exmo and Mo,
Yeah.
but not Curly or Larry, usually.
No, not usually.
So today is that word of wisdom thing.
Yeah, today is
Right.
that word of wisdom thing. We decided that
We're
might
talking
be a
about
topic.
cigarettes. We're going to talk about booze. We're going to talk about meat.
Yeah, coffee, tea, all that kind of stuff. All the stuff that Mormons are not allowed to consume.
Are you having a good weekend?
I am having a very relaxing weekend.
I'm
thanks.
having a good weekend, too. I had some coffee,
You did?
at least in my imagination.
I don't remember
Sometime
making a pot this morning.
in the last week, I had some coffee.
I had green tea, but that's not against the word of wisdom.
Why?
Right?
Why?
Because it's
The green tea
okay, all right.
and the black tea come from the same plant, right?
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so I don't know. I think that from what I understand, most Mormons think that it's okay to drink green tea.
I don't ever remember thinking that when I was a Mormon. I don't ever remember. Herbal tea, people would drink herbal tea. Mint tea, sure. Mint tea, that's fine.
Right.
Lemon tea, no problem. But I've never heard of anybody that said it was okay to drink green tea.
Though, green tea was not the big hip deal back in the day like it is today. I mean, it wasn't such a trendy thing. I think that it's more, it's out there in the public eye more and all of the health benefits and everything. But we digress a little bit.
We don't. This is exactly what we're talking about.
I know it's exactly what we're talking about, but a lot of our listeners may not know anything at all about the word of wisdom.
Okay. Well, most Mormons know that. Oh, excuse me. Most people who aren't Mormons, right?
Right.
Regular folk like
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Well, we're not regular because we're ex-Mormons.
Exactly.
We're like cultural Mormons. We're like what do you call it? Like we're race. We're of the Mormon race. Because we're generational. We go way back, right? We go way back generationally.
Our families are all LDS.
Yeah,
way
we're
back.
Mormons by race, just not by practice. Is that kind of like being Jew, but you don't do the thing?
Yeah, I think that we've kind of aligned ourselves with that thinking, haven't we?
I think a little bit because
Yeah.
you're raised in it. What do you do? You're so steeped in it. I spent 34 years in that stuff. Right. Anyway, word of wisdom, the tea, the coffee.
Yeah, the tea and the
booze.
coffee. So
I had alcohol last night.
I did too.
I broke the word of wisdom intentionally.
As is our habit pretty much every night of the week, right?
I enjoy it. A couple glasses of wine or a couple beers with
Right.
dinner and just some TV and relaxation. It's good to unwind for a couple hours and relax.
Yeah, good for the heart. And even if it weren't good for the heart, it's good for the Constitution. And I'm not talking about, the Constitution. I'm talking about my Constitution.
Sure. All right, so Emma, story goes, was tired of cleaning up the spittoons, the mess in the upper room there after the brethren would have their meetings, and so she's whining to Joseph about this, right?
Right.
So Joseph has this revelation.
Yeah, and I actually have the revelation here somewhere. Doctrine and Covenants 89.
Yep, that's the one.
So it's not in the Book of Mormon at all, but it's in the other scriptures that the Mormons have lots of
The
scriptures.
Doctrine and Covenants.
Right, the D&C as it's better known to those inside of the faith.
All right, well, I'm going to open up the phones. If you're listening, you're most likely the only one. Number here is 503-616-2663. Go ahead and give us a call. We can talk about the word of wisdom. We can talk about whatever. Anything you want to talk about.
Right, exactly. But today, this is interesting stuff. I think that a lot of Mormons are known. Well, I think that a lot of non-Mormons know this about Mormons, if they know nothing else, that you can't smoke tobacco. You can't drink coffee or tea.
Now, it's not just
or
smoking
alcohol.
tobacco. You can't, no form of ingestion.
Right.
You can't, like, break it into brownies and eat tobacco brownies.
Tobacco brownies.
Not like anyone would want to, but like if you chew in tobacco, that's a no-no also because you're swallowing the goopage.
Yeah, the juice. So at the beginning of this, and I'm looking at LDS.org, which is the church's official website. And at the beginning of the Revelation, they give a little preface or summarize what it's about. So it says here, Section 89, Revelation given through Joseph Smith, the prophet, at Kirtland, Ohio, February 27th, 1833. As a consequence of the early brethren using tobacco in their meetings. You were right on. It even says it right in the DSC. I didn't realize that they had put this in here. Okay.
It's lore.
It is his lore. The prophet was led to ponder upon the matter. Consequently, he inquired of the Lord concerning it. The revelation known as the word of wisdom was the result.
Well, that really sucks. Uh-oh, we're having some kind of... You hearing some feedback or something?
I heard that.
I think we're having issues with the electronics.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, keep going. It's gone.
So, I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's freaking lengthy. But
oh, thank God.
Yeah. But, there are some, let's see, there are some other sites here that I was looking at that kind of just give a little description. What is the word of wisdom? This is from LDS.org.
It's a fraud. That's what it is.
Let's see. The word of wisdom is a law of health revealed by the Lord for the physical and spiritual benefit of his children.
Yeah, I've seen those Mormons. They're real healthy.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Okay, so blah, 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 as recorded in Section 89 of the Doctrine and Covenants.
I'm just saying.
Okay, yeah, exactly. So the Lord revealed which foods are good for us to eat.
Uh-huh.
And which substances are not good for the human body.
Uh-huh.
He also promised health, protection, knowledge, and wisdom to those who obey the word of wisdom.
And that shit doesn't work.
It don't work.
No, they don't have any higher incidence of that stuff than regular folks.
No, it's true. And I know that you and I have talked lots of times about, all the prohibitions, you can't consume alcohol and everybody knows, I'm sorry, tobacco. I meant tobacco. Can't consume alcohol either, but...
no smoking, no drinking.
No smoking, no tobacco. And I think everybody in the general population has figured out that tobacco is really probably not good for you.
Yeah.
So Mormons use that as a... Yes.
Hey, man.
Yes.
We were right.
Validates us. Yes.
We have a true prophet because he said tobacco ain't no good.
Yeah.
Don't be doing that.
And alcohol, can't consume alcohol. Can't consume, it doesn't...
I just have a word to say about that. I suspect that tobacco was every bit as disgusting back in 1833 as it is today. Anybody who cared to, not participate in the use of that product, who had to be around people who were using the product,
nasty,
surely must have been disgusted with it because it's just gross.
I've liked to smoke a cigarette here and there in my life, but it's not.
I'm a secondhand smoker.
I would never say. I love the smell of tobacco when we're out and about walking down the street.
I've been denied my secondhand smoking by the government.
I know.
All the stupid laws.
That sucks.
How about you let the restaurant decide whether there's going to be smoking or not, and then let the customers decide which restaurant they want to go to? How about that, huh?
Well, now you can't even smoke outside of a lot of buildings, within a certain parameter.
It's free country. It's free. We're free here.
Yeah.
It's free. We have freedom.
I really enjoy
freedom
the freedom
means you can't smoke.
To smell a nice...
You have the freedom to not smoke cigarettes.
Cigar from a distance.
Oh, yeah.
Even cigarettes or a pipe, man. It's nice.
A pipe, I like a good pipe. The smell of it.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't want to be hotboxed in a car with somebody who's smoking.
Not me
Definitely
either.
not. Really unhealthy, really disgusting.
I like the waft.
From a distance. It's really nice.
Isn't that a song?
The waft?
God is watching us from a distance.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm not going to launch into song there.
Thank you.
But the thing that is interesting here, too, okay, let's see. Verse 5 says, Inasmuch as any man drinketh wine or strong drink among you, behold, it is not good, neither meet in the sight of your Father, only in assembling yourselves together to offer up your sacraments before him. But do they use wine in,
no, they
in
don't.
their sacrament?
And
No.
it says you can't eat meat in the sight of your Father. So apparently you can eat all the meat you want when Father's not looking.
I'm going to have to look further and see that.
No, you just read it.
Oh, I did? Wait.
It says neither meat in the sight.
Oh, okay. All right.
I know that's not.
All right, you were being funny.
M-E-A-T is M-E-E-T.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so inasmuch as any man drinketh wine, it's not good. Like when Jesus drank wine
Oh.
and made wine for the wedding at Cana.
Oh, don't even get me started. Okay, so the next line is key here before I bring up this point.
Okay.
The next verse, 6, says, And behold, this should be wine, yea, pure wine of the grape of the vine of your own make.
Of your own make. Oh, so you have
Yes.
to make your own wine in order for it to be sacramental.
But here's the thing that just cracks me up. I love my mom, and I don't know where she got this idea, but I remember talking to her about this, and she mentioned to me that, as far as Jesus drinking wine, I brought this up to her after I'd left the church.
Yeah.
And I remember her saying to me, but, it was pure wine. It's grape juice. It's not fermented.
Okay,
So let's go back and have a little bit of a lesson in history.
Oh, come on. Explain you're bringing out the good stuff later when the custom was to bring out the good stuff first. Because why? Because the reason people couldn't tell the difference later is because they were sauced. That's why they couldn't tell you were bringing out the less good wine later. And people were complimenting Jesus for bringing out the good wine after everybody was a little bit, humming.
Sauced. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how is it that right in the Bible it talks about Jesus being a wine bibber?
Yeah.
Biber, however you say that.
Biber.
A wine biber.
You imbibe, you don't imbib.
There you go. That's a good way to remember that. And that he hung out with all of the local winos and stuff,
Sinners.
That was his
Hung out
thing.
with the sinners.
And he was a wine biber. And
He was pals with the whoremongers and the dirt bags and the scums and the hippies and the flea farts and all those people.
Flea farts.
Yeah.
So, this doesn't even hold up when it comes to the Church of Jesus Christ.
No.
Because Jesus Christ totally dug that stuff.
That's right. And so did Joe Smith, amazingly enough.
He did. That's what I was searching madly for before we...
Post February 27th, 1933, Joe drank plenty of spirits.
Oh, and even after that, according to the history of the church.
That's what I meant. Post February 27th, 1933.
Post. There you go. Okay. So... Yeah, there's even church history
It's
that
been
talks
scrubbed.
about even in
The official church books have been scrubbed.
Right, but the old books that are in print, you can still find it.
Right, it's still there.
History of the church, Joseph Smith in the temple, all the dudes in the temple doing all the temple work and stuff, and he's sending people out for more alcohol. We don't have enough. Go get some more alcohol.
Church of Orwell. The Church of 1984. They've scrubbed the shit out of their.
1984.
They've rewritten their history. They scrubbed
yeah.
the hit out of. They scrubbed the hit out of it. They scrubbed the shit out of that stuff to make it sound like it was all homogenous all the way through, instead of like Joe being a philanderer and a wine bibber and a whiskey drinker and a beer
womanizer.
drinker. Yes.
Serious womanizer. We'll talk about that another time.
Good old Joe.
Yeah. So it's a bunch of BS as far as, he instituted this. He got this revelation from God.
Yeah.
And he couldn't even keep it his own damn self.
Yeah.
So what about this right here, baby? And again, hot drinks are not for the body or belly. Hot drinks.
No, you can't. But if they're warm, they're fine.
But it specifies hot. And so a lot of times people think, Mormons think coffee or tea, black tea specifically.
Yeah.
But
because the brethren have clarified in modern times. That's why we have the blessing of ongoing revelation, because God doesn't get it right the first time, and He needs to clean it up.
Okay, but let me see how much more clear God needs to be on this verse 9.
Okay.
Hot drinks are not for the body or belly. That seems pretty clear to me. I don't think it really takes much clarification.
A jury at least agreed with the body part when that lady sued McDonald's for spilling coffee and burning the shit out of herself.
Yeah.
A jury agreed that hot drinks are not for the body, but I don't think anybody's ever won a lawsuit about hot drinks in the belly. Oh, I drink hot coffee and my belly's all hot. I'm going to sue. Well, why did you drink it, dumbass?
Right. It doesn't say scalding hot. It says hot. And Mormons are all about drinking, hot beverages.
Hot cocoa and post-em.
Herbal teas.
Does anyone drink post-em anymore? I think that's kind of like from days gone by, isn't it?
Yeah.
Post-em.
I think it is from days gone by.
But at least the hot cocoa, Mormons can't live without their hot cocoa.
So what about verse 10 that says, and again, verily I say unto you, all wholesome herbs God hath ordained for the constitution, nature, and use of man.
Wholesome being the operative word there.
Who decides what wholesome is?
Well, the FDA.
Who in the church decides what wholesome is?
The LDS.
Yes. But, I kind of emphasize that because I think there are at least a handful of herbs that are certainly not approved of by the LDS Church.
I don't have a handful of herbs. I have a box full of herbs.
Yeah.
My little box full of herbs are wholesome.
Every herb in the season thereof, and every fruit in the season thereof, all these to be used with prudence and thanksgiving.
So what you're saying is you're only supposed to eat apples from like November through like December.
That's right. If you're keeping the word of wisdom.
You don't eat apples in summertime. That's a no-no because it's not
tomatoes.
In the season.
No tomatoes in winter.
Uh-huh.
No, in fact, pretty much no produce in Utah anyway.
You could probably have some of those like real dense cabbages and kales and stuff that'll still grow in the winter.
Okay, all of the Russian style stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
beets, beets, potatoes, all the root vegetables.
That's why they call them
cabbages.
Rootskis. The rootskis. Those crazy rootskis.
You make me laugh. So, yeah, seriously, here's the thing that bugs me, because I hear Mormons complain about this all the time about Christians. Pick and choose theology. You know what I mean?
Is there any other kind?
How can there be any other kind? Because there's so much conflicting scripture. There's so much contradiction.
You can't obey the Bible. You can't read and do what it says in the Bible because it tells you to do one thing and then it tells you to not do the one thing.
Or the Book of Mormon either. But if we're just looking at the word of wisdom, it seems pretty clear. It should be pretty easy to keep it. But people just choose to conveniently ignore specific elements.
Yes. Like eating meat sparingly and only when there's not other stuff to eat. That one goes out the window with Mormons.
Right. Yeah, that's where is that one? That's but it really breaks it down a lot of stuff here as far as
he talks about he goes so far as to talk about which animals should be eating which grains.
Yeah,
horses should be eating the oats.
Yes.
Humans should be eating the wheat. Oh, never mind, you might have a gluten allergy or something like that, and so other grains would be better for you.
Right.
God has said, wheat is for you. Eat the damn wheat. Eat it.
Yes.
Eat it. Eat the wheat.
Oh, wait, here we go. Before we get to the wheat, though. Oh, no, here's the wheat. Okay, so. All right, I'm just going to go ahead here because it's kind of important. Okay, so we just talked about the herbs, and that's verses 10 and 11. So 12 says, yea, flesh also of beasts and of the fowls of the air, I, the Lord, have ordained for the use of man with thanksgiving. Nevertheless, they are to be used sparingly.
Yeah.
13 says, and it is pleasing unto me that they should not be used only in times of winter or of cold or famine.
Okay, that's confusing.
I know.
It's pleasing unto him that they should not be used only in those times. In other words, he wants you to eat it all the time.
Right.
Or it is pleasing that they shouldn't be used except in times. Does the only mean except there?
Well, that's what growing up, that's what our understanding was.
There's a comma, right? After used?
Yes.
They should not be used.
Comma.
Only
in times of winter, comma, or of cold, comma, or famine.
Huh.
Famine. Yeah, okay, so 14 is where the grains are introduced. All grain is ordained for the use of man and of beasts.
Beer.
There you
It's
go.
ordained.
To be the staff of life. I have to say, Mormons do pretty much, they really eat their grains.
The staff, though? It's the staff of life?
That's what it says. Not only for man, but for the beasts of the field and the fowls of the heaven and all the wild animals that run or creep on the earth.
This dude really liked to hear himself
wax
talk,
eloquent. Yes, he did. Oh, and these hath God made for the use of man only in times of famine and excess of hunger.
What?
I'm
Which?
so
Huh? The grains have made what?
Yes. No. Yes. Okay. So it goes.
I've read this like a billion times.
I know, but it's been a long time. 14. Okay. 14. All grain is ordained for the use of man and of beasts.
All grain.
That's right. To be the staff of life.
Okay.
Okay, so this sounds conflicting right here because he just said all grain is to be used
for man
and beast, to be the staff of life.
The staff.
And then he goes on and waxes eloquent about, you're running and creeping and blah. And then, and then 15, he says, and these hath God made for the use of man only in times of famine and excess of hunger.
What's excess of hunger? Like, you have too much hunger, you better eat some grain.
Well, there's an obesity crisis, so obviously there are some people that shouldn't.
So it's not really the staff
of
of life; it's more like the beach ball of life.
Yes, that's what it is. Okay, so 16. All grain is good for the food of man.
Beer.
As also the fruit of the vine.
Wine.
That which yieldeth fruit, whether in the ground or above the ground.
What? I've never heard of fruit in the ground. I've heard of tubers. Roots and tubers.
On the ground, yeah, above the ground. I've never heard of fruit under the ground either.
Under the ground. Underground fruit.
Good point.
I've heard of underwear fruit of the lube.
Hey.
Just never underground fruit.
Yeah. Okay.
Unless, they bury a crazy guy.
I guess maybe he's talking about fruit being vegetables, any plant producing fruit.
Yeah, I suppose.
Quote unquote,
but
right?
Come on, Joe.
Yeah, get it right. Okay, then
cut the guy some slack. He just dropped out of school. He never studied, biology.
Yeah.
He didn't have an understanding of the correct taxonomies of the different plant substances.
But he came up with some pretty good stuff considering he was uneducated.
He was a smart fucker.
He was smart.
Really, really smart.
He was, and he must
Charming
have been
as hell.
charismatic.
Oh my God, he had to have been thinking. How many fucking
women.
chicks he banged? He had to have been a charming dude.
And that whole militia and the whole, government and everything that he set up. He was a pretty amazing guy. He did a lot. Okay, but then 17, nevertheless, wheat for man.
Yeah, that's our main vein right there.
Yeah. Corn for the ox, oats for the horse, rye for the fowls and for swine, and for all beasts of the field, and barley for all useful animals. None of those are useful. All those other ones, they're not useful.
I thought the ox was useful. Isn't the ox useful and the horse?
He just got through listing. Yeah, ox, horse, fowls, swine. And barley for all useful animals.
How about barley for beer?
So what other animals are there that you didn't list that are considered useful to man? I think you pretty much...
Dogs are useful, but they're not going to eat barley. And cats are useful, but they're not going to eat barley. Mm-hmm. What else we got? Donkeys?
Do they eat barley?
I don't know.
Basically horses, right? So
they're kind of related, sort of.
Yeah. And for mild drinks.
There you go.
There's also other grain.
See, now here's the thing. Beer is a mild drink with respect to liquor. Whiskey? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Alcohol. Beer? Mild barley drink.
There you go.
That's what I'm saying. What other mild beverage is made out of barley?
Right, so why...
Nobody drinks barley mash.
Roasted barley can be used as a coffee substitute.
That's what postum is.
I think that is what postum
Black.
is.
But it says no hot fucking drinks. So now what? Now
drinks.
what? Huh?
You gotta brew it hot, let it cool.
That's what he means by
it.
mild barley drink. He means frickin' beer, because he was a beer biber. He loved his beer.
He doesn't say, I don't think they say anything. Okay, he says about strong drink. Let's get to the
strong drink. Right, beer's not strong drink. It's mild.
Right. Okay, so, and basically...
and you got to remember, back in the day, there was a once upon a time when water supplies were shit, and people brewed a lot of weak beer. Not like the 5% and 6% shit we get at the store, but like 2 and 3% beer. Yeah. And they would drink that. That was what they drank, because the alcohol would kill the germs in the water, and it made it safe to drink.
Right, exactly.
And it was a
lifesaver
water
for a lot of people.
That's right.
Back in the day.
So mild barley drink. I attest that mild barley drink means beer.
It makes sense to me. I missed some stuff apparently because this is like that's the end of it. I mean, basically, because as soon as he's done talking about the mild drinks, you know, from other grains, then it's like 18, 19, 20, 21 is the end. He's closing it up here, and he does say, "And all saints who remember to keep and do these sayings, walking in obedience to the commandments." Here you got to like add all these caveats in here to make sure, you know. "Walking in obedience to the commandments shall receive health in their navel and marrow to their bones."
What happens to people who are wheelchair bound? Can they roll in obedience to the commandments?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
And
just as long as God is the equal opportunity
deity.
Dude.
Yes. "And shall find wisdom and great treasures of knowledge." We all know how much Joe was into finding great treasures.
But treasures of knowledge. Yeah. I don't know of anybody who can say, yes, I've kept the word of wisdom my whole life, and I can attest that that promise has been kept. I have found wisdom and great treasures of knowledge.
Even hidden treasures.
Even hidden treasures.
"And shall run and not be weary, and shall walk and not faint."
Yeah, that doesn't work.
No, that does not work.
You have to exercise for that part. The word of wisdom doesn't say shit about working out.
No, it doesn't at all.
Nope. No. The Lord's law of health means sit on your ass and eat chocolate, eat refreshments.
Bread. Cinnamon rolls, cakes, cookies.
Yeah, oh my God, chocolate cake. I want
biscuits with gravy and butter. Oh my gosh.
And what can be said about Mormon punch? It's so unique. It's so singularly, horrifyingly terrible.
And green Jell-O.
Speaking of green, this is a sidebar, but, you know, when I was a faithful, dutiful Mormon missionary, there was a noob came out, and one of the families in the area was always, you know, had a thing for always having the missionaries come over on P-Day, and they'd launder the clothes for them and wash their car for them.
P-Day, please define.
Preparation Day. It's the one day of the week where you don't have to go out proselytizing.
Right.
You get to...
Mondays, right?
Right, until 5 o'clock. You have until 5 o'clock to do your grocery shopping, wash your car, wash your clothes, kind of get ready for the upcoming week. And
even go work out. You can even take off your special undergarments and go and play basketball or whatever. Yeah,
it was amazing. Yeah. Take off our Mormon magic underwear. Yeah. But anyway, some newbie came in, and so they had him over for dinner, and everything was green. Mashed potatoes were green. The gravy was green. The beverages were green.
Obviously on purpose.
Green salad. Well, of course.
It wasn't St. Patrick's Day?
No, he was a greenie.
Oh, he's a greenie.
So they fed him greenie food.
I gotcha. Sorry. I was totally lost.
Boy, that was just horrible. We should strike that last. Pretend like that didn't happen.
No, it was good.
Call us, 503-616-2663, and talk about Mormons.
Yeah, call us. So, in this last part, he says, verse 21 is the last one, I think. "And I, the Lord, give unto them a promise that the destroying angel shall pass them by." That's easy.
Really?
Pass by them. "As the children of Israel, and not slay them." Amen.
So keeping the word of wisdom is equivalent to smearing blood on the lintel of your door?
Yes, for Mormons. And it also makes you into a child of Israel, apparently, too.
It's a Passover pass.
Yes. Where did I miss the... Okay. At the very beginning. Okay. So I skipped in the very first part. Is about the alcohol and the tobacco. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go back because this is good stuff.
Okay, when you go for your Temple Recommend interview and they ask if you obey the word of wisdom, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If somebody saw you buying a pack of cigarettes at a store and told the bishop about it, do you think the bishop would ask you about that, or do you think he'd just let you go?
I think he'd ask you about it. Okay,
and if you had an explanation for, well, I used that for a poultice for my, I had an injury and I heard that tobacco makes a poultice for that, that's what I bought it for. It says in the word of wisdom that's okay. I didn't ingest it. Sure, you're good. You get Temple Recommend, go ahead. He'd probably advise against it, though.
I don't know. I think that he'd probably be okay with it. It's not against the word of wisdom.
Okay, so now take the same scenario. Somebody is at the grocery store in the middle of summer, plenty of vegetables around to eat, loading up on meat. Somebody reports to the bishop, hey, Sister so-and-so was down at the grocery store loading up on meat in the middle of summer. When Sister so-and-so comes in for a Temple Recommend interview, do you think anything's said about that?
Not even.
All right, so why do they single out the tobacco and the coffee and the tea and the alcohol? Why are those things singled out and they don't even ask you about the grains and the meat and stuff? That's part of the word of wisdom.
I don't know. I don't know why that is. Part of it, I was going to say because it's PC, because it's like, it's the socially, acceptable thing to like not smoke tobacco and stuff, But alcohol,
Brother Jones,
everybody drinks alcohol.
You're fat. You obviously ain't keeping the word of wisdom. You ain't going to the temple.
I know it says staff of life for the grains, but you need to cut back.
You got a bread belly, brother.
All right, so here, I'm going to read the first 5 or 6 verses or 7 because I skipped over those. And those
okay, while you're doing that, I'm going to keep the word of wisdom.
And consume some herbs.
Yes.
Okay. So, a word of wisdom for the benefit of the Council of High Priests assembled in Kirtland and the church and also the saints in Zion. That's loud, Jeff. I can't read over it. To be sent greeting, not by commandment or constraint, but by revelation and the word of wisdom, showing forth the order and will of God in the temporal salvation of all saints in the last days. All right, this part is boring.
Of course, the later brethren clarified that and said, God changed his mind, now it's a commandment.
Oh, but it's still in the book. Still says in the book, not by commandment or constraint. So the first 3 verses are kind of boring. 3 says, given for a principle with promise, adapted to the capacity of the weak and the weakest of all saints, who are or can be called saints. All right, so now we get
Okay, so if you're so weak that you can't adapt to this, then you can't be called a saint.
That's
obviously.
right. Apparently not. Because they really tried to cut corners here and make it easy for you. Okay, so 4 is where we really get into it. Boldly, not boldly, behold, verily thus saith the Lord unto you, in consequence of evils and designs which do and will exist in the hearts of conspiring men in the last days, I have warned you and forewarned you by giving unto you this word of wisdom by revelation. That inasmuch as any man drinketh wine or strong drink among you, behold, it is not good. Neither meat, M-E-E-T, in the sight of your Father.
Okay, well...
Only in assembling yourselves together to offer up your sacraments before him.
Can you drink the wine or strong drink by yourself? You're not drinking it among them. It says, if anyone has wine or strong drink among you, it's not good. But what if they're off by themselves doing it? They're not among them at that point in time.
In the sight of your Father. But, neither meat in the sight of your Father, only in assembling yourselves together.
No, rewind. He says, if any man drink wine or strong drink among you, it is not good.
Right?
Is that a period there?
No, there's a comma.
Okay, but it's a phrase that's self-consistent then up to the comma. So what if the people are drinking it by themselves? They're not drinking it among them. I'm looking for loopholes.
I know you are. I'm sorry. You make a good point. So, I don't know about if it's okay when you're by yourself.
I think the language is a little shoddy.
It is a little shoddy. Okay, that inasmuch as any man drinketh wine or strong drink among you, comma, behold, it is not good, comma, neither meat in the sight of your Father.
What is not good, the man or the drinking?
The drinking, I think.
I suppose he would say he is not good if it was the man, not
right.
It is not good.
But it says only in assembling yourselves up to offer, only in assembling yourselves to offer up your sacraments before him. But then they specify
the Last Supper wine.
Yeah. And behold, this should be wine, yea, pure wine of the grape of the vine of your own make. But it just got through saying, inasmuch as any man drinketh wine or strong drink, it's not good, but only in assembling yourselves together to offer up your sacraments. So he already set out at the beginning to say wine or strong drink is good. If you cut out the middle part, wine or strong drink is good in the assembling of yourselves together to offer up your sacraments.
That's right.
But then he goes and contradicts himself by saying, behold, this should be wine, yea, pure wine of the grape of the vine of your own make. Well, not necessarily. It's not contradiction.
No, it's not contradictory. But
it's
later
just
on...
Mormon contradiction. It's just Mormon lore contradiction.
What?
Because when they say, oh, that's really supposed to be grape juice.
No, what?
What I was telling you earlier.
I know that Mormons say that. I don't think they get it from that, though. I've never heard that scripture referenced as the proof that wine back in Jesus' day was really just grape juice.
Pure wine is really supposed to just be grape juice.
Oh, and by the way,
right?
Today's wine is just grape juice too.
You're right.
It is. It's just grape juice.
It is. It absolutely is. Pure wine of the grape.
Yep. Just grape juice.
Okay. So none of those other fancy brandies or anything, you know.
It's been, sitting on the shelf for a sufficient amount of time.
Yes.
Exposed to oxygen and yeast. However it is, just grape juice.
Yeah. Okay, so but then now 7 makes it further confusing because it says, and again, strong drinks are not for the belly. Okay, even though we just talked about using it in our sacraments, but for the washing of your bodies. So when have you ever been to church?
Oh, didn't they used to do that whiskey shit in the Kirtland Temple?
I don't think they washed with it.
I thought they reveled in a bathtub full of whiskey.
Perhaps. I would have to get the reference. I know it was flowing, that's for sure. The whiskey was flowing.
The spirits was there.
Yes, they were filled with the spirit.
They were filled with it.
For sure.
And the thing I like about whiskey, unlike religious spirits, whiskey comes with proof.
Ha ha, you're too funny. Okay, and now we bring in the tobacco.
80 proof.
80 proof. And again...
Mormons, 0 proof.
They think there's proof, but no. We're going to address all that stuff. So this last part that I missed before is about the tobacco. And it's verse 8, and it says, again, tobacco is not for the body... Not for the body.
Oh, so the poultice thing ain't going to cut it.
Only for animals, I think.
Oh, I bought it for my horse.
Yeah.
Oh, my dog cut his leg.
Okay, it's not for the body, neither for the belly, and is not good for man, but is an herb for bruises and all sick cattle, to be used with judgment and skill.
Oh, so apparently it's only cattle.
Cattle.
Wait a minute. It's for bruises.
Uh-huh.
And all sick cattle.
But they just said neither for the body nor the belly.
All right, read that shit again.
And again, tobacco is not for the body.
Yep.
Neither for the belly.
Okay.
And is not good for man.
Right.
But is an herb for bruises and all sick cattle.
For what?
It's all together in one line.
For bruises.
And all sick cattle.
For whose bruises?
The cows, I guess.
But no, there's an and. Bruises
I know.
And all sick cattle.
I know. It's confusing.
So apparently any bruise.
But
if I have a bruise...
Yes.
The bruise isn't the man. It's the bruise. It's for the bruise. It's not for the man.
Not for the body.
Yeah.
As it says right at the very beginning.
The bruise is not the body. The bruise is a bruise. It's not part of my body.
Yes, I think it is, actually.
The body gets rid of it. The body works to eject it. The body says, hey, you don't belong here. Get out.
But it's self-generated inside of the body.
Yeah.
So, okay. So anyway, we totally beat up the whole.
That's really confusing.
89. It is really confusing.
The wording is horrible. It's not easily discerned what the hell he's talking about.
No.
Are we supposed to eat meat or aren't we? And when and how much?
I know.
And what?
That's probably why members of the church just go, okay. I know that I'm not supposed to drink hot beverages, which really means coffee and tea. It doesn't say anything in the word of wisdom about coffee and tea. Nothing.
Nada.
Just hot beverages.
That's right. But
tea is an herb.
The brethren have clarified with subsequent revelations.
Yes, and we all know
that hot beverages means coffee and tea.
You're being our friend right now.
What?
You're being Robert. Right there. That was so Robert. Okay, so.
I have no idea who you're talking about.
I know. So, yeah, so it doesn't even talk about coffee or tea in the word of wisdom, but if you're a member of the church,
Let's just get it straight. It ends with dumb.
There you go. It is dumb. Because
the word of is dumb.
but then if you're a good Mormon person, if you're a good member of the church, you know that anything that current leaders of the church say overrides old revelation.
Yeah.
So the old stuff wasn't any good, and
God
we need
changes his mind.
That's right.
He's a changeable God.
Yeah, because what about cola beverages?
Kolob beverages?
Yeah, cola. Okay, nobody's going to know what you're talking
Pepsi
about.
Kolob, Coca-Cola.
You have to be Mormon to know.
All right,
what that
if you're
means.
not a Mormon, here's the deal. Mormons believe that God lives on a planet called Kolob.
Kolob. Kolob.
Kolob.
Yes.
Is that a German? Is that a German planet? Because it starts with K. Oh, if you could get high on Kolob, you get high into Kolob.
No. So anyway, the reason I bring up cola is because
RC
a
Kolob.
lot of LDS folk believe that you can't drink any cola beverages either and keep the word of wisdom. And the reason for this is they make a judgment call.
A leap.
A leap.
A leap of illogic.
Yes, because I think that they assume that since coffee and tea are caffeinated beverages,
therefore,
that's why Mormons aren't supposed to consume coffee or tea. Therefore, you must not be able to drink cola beverages either because they're caffeinated as well.
What about No-Nos?
I don't think it comes up in discussion.
If you crush one of those up and put it in some hot water,
Yeah.
Can you drink that?
Nobody's going to do that.
Can you drink that Theraflu stuff, that hot lemon medicine?
Yeah, but I don't think Theraflu has caffeine in it.
What if you put a No-Nos in it?
Well, now you're just reaching.
Just saying.
But don't you think it's kind of funny that people would make that leap?
It's ridiculous.
And it's not even in the in the word of wisdom.
Our family was a no cola family.
Ours was too.
And we didn't, it wasn't like, it wasn't ever spoken out loud that that's what the word of wisdom means or anything. It's just we didn't have cola in our house. And our neighbors across the street who are Mormons, the Brockways, they had Pepsi. Leo loved his Pepsi. And nobody ever condemned Leo for drinking Pepsi. So I don't get what the deal is. I remember how guilty I felt the first time I drank a Pepsi. I was over at a neighbor's house, not Leo's. I was over at some other neighbor's house and visiting a friend, and the mom offered us sodas. His soda. I was like, Pepsi. These people aren't Mormons. They don't know I'm Mormon. This is my chance to try this stuff and see what it's like,
Yeah.
And I really felt horrible, but I wanted to know what it tasted like. So I cracked that sucker open and took a sip of it, and it was kind of meh,
Yeah.
I didn't really dig it that much.
You didn't?
Nah.
Wow.
I've never been
minority.
I've never been a fan of the Pepsi.
Your story that you just told reminded me of a similar experience I had that people will probably be blown away at this. I guess I was so naive.
I like the Coca-Cola.
So I was about 16, I'd say, probably 16 years old in Orem, Utah. And I'd never had coffee.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend and I skipped school to go to Bill and Iva's Cafe on State Street, right down the street from Orem High School.
Oh, you're going to be naughty. You're skipping school and you're going to break the word of wisdom.
Yeah, and we ordered coffee. Oh, my gosh.
And I bet it was horrible, crummy old coffee.
Here's the thing. I didn't think they'd serve us. I thought that you had to be carded for coffee. I'm serious. I totally thought that you'd have to be carded to drink coffee.
See, ladies and gentlemen, this is how insane it is to grow up in Utah. I'm so glad I didn't.
Yeah, you got away with that. But I was...
My grandma's, she wasn't a Mormon. My mom's a convert, like your mom.
Yeah.
And so I'd be at my grandma's house once in a while, spend the night over there, and I'd wake up in the morning. She always had her percolator going, and that smell of coffee would waft through the house. Oh man, it's so yummy smelling.
I have to tell you, that was one of the things about leaving the LDS church and attending Biblical Christian Church in Orem, Utah. That was like, all right, this has got to be at least more true than Mormonism, because when you walk into the church at Evangelical Free Church in Orem, Utah, and I'd walk in and the place was wafting of coffee.
And that's the part of it that's truer. That's the only part of Christianity that's truer than Mormonism, is that they have coffee.
I loved it. I was like, oh my gosh, what an experience. I'm walking into church and it smells like fresh brewed coffee.
So God says, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat, except for that one tree of knowledge of good and evil over there. Oh, and you can't like eat the seeds of that one cherry over there. You can't roast them and make them into a drink.
Right.
And this one other herb over here, you can't burn that one and inhale the fumes.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's this other plant over here. You can't dry that out and make tea out of it.
No.
That's no good. So
No.
of every tree of the garden, they must freely eat except for the one of knowledge and the one of coffee and the one of tea and the one of weed.
Yeah. Or tobacco too.
Yeah. And be careful with those grapes. You can eat those, but if they get old, then you can't eat them.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Unless they're raisin old. Then you can eat them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not the age, it's the...
condition.
Yeah.
Or
the
something.
Boozitude.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, growing up in the church, I mean, don't you think that if you're not living in Utah, don't you think those things about the faith are badges of honor for you?
You mean obeying the word of wisdom?
Yes, because they set
Sure.
you apart,
Yeah.
you know, when you're out in public and stuff and everybody else, you know, like I say, if you're not in Utah, because we all know that.
Surely, you're off on a
most people in
business
Utah-
meeting in New York and you're with
Right.
non-Mormon people closing a business deal
Yeah.
and blah, blah, blah. And they're all celebrating with brandies or
Right.
whiskeys or...
cigars, or they're just having coffee
Yeah.
with lunch
Right.
or whatever, right?
And you're having your
And you're like-
strawberry lemonade.
Don't you think that that is an opportunity to proselytize?
Oh, certainly.
Isn't that what that really is?
Yes. Hey there, Bob.
sets you apart.
Why aren't you having any alcohol? Well, you see, Jake, I'm a Mormon.
That's right.
Really,
Oh.
Bob? Mormon, huh? I've always wondered about those Mormons. They seem so clean and tidy. Tell me more. Uh-huh. Like he's like, no, that's not what he's saying. Oh, too bad. We're going out to the strip club tonight. I guess you won't be able to come with us, Bob.
Yeah, I doubt that.
Or come on, we won't tell anybody. That's more like what really happens.
Yeah, that's probably what does happen. But the Mormon
That's
person,
for proselytizing, all right, but not the way you would hope for.
no. But the Mormon person is like, no. You know, this is like a law given by God,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. But then look at all the fat, sick, unhealthy, obese Mormons. Like if you go to
Jesus.
an LDS activity,
my bird.
so many people are obese. I
Hell
think
yeah.
I think it's more common to see really
You think
obese
so?
LDS people than the masses. I think
That's
so.
because they can't relax with a glass of wine, so they relax with a whole carton of Haagen-Dazs.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just
Pack of Oreos.
I'm talking out my ass here. I
Yeah.
can't say really.
No, I'm not saying that all.
But there are
all
a
LDS
lot of
people
fat
are
Mormons. I
overweight,
will
but
say that there are a lot of
there are a
Mormon
lot of fat
fatty
Mormons.
fatties. Lots
Right.
of them.
So if Joseph Smith was so inspired, why didn't he think to say no refined grains, no refined white sugar, no shortening with hydrogenated fats?
Yeah.
in there.
How about no shortening with hydrogenated fat, Jeebus?
No. How about no high fructose corn syrup?
Hey, how about
If it's prophetic.
how about watch your red meat, huh? How about don't eat so much of that? How about limit your intake of ickies?
Yeah, well, he did.
God knows what the ickies
He
are.
did mention the meat thing, but
But he didn't say which kind.
you're right.
He just
didn't.
said
No,
meat.
no.
He lumped it in a lump.
Yep, he did say, fowl and fish and stuff. It's all for these.
It's all meat.
Yeah, it's
That's
all
what
meat.
he said. It's all meat.
It's all meat for you to eat.
Meat.
Yeah. So, and I bet people would contend with, hydrogenated oils and high fructose corn syrup didn't exist in the day. He's a prophet.
Hey, they've
It's
had
God.
lard.
He's a
They've
prophet.
the Lord knows about lard. There's
No,
been lard.
didn't say lard. Lard is good. Hydrogenated fats are not the same as lard.
Really?
Oh yeah, hydrogenated.
I thought
means
that any fat that was solid at room temperature was suspect.
saturated fat.
But isn't any fat that's solid at room temperature suspect?
Well, it depends on who you talk to.
Okay.
But hydrogenated vegetable oils, they put hydrogen in there and turn it into something that it's not, or that it wasn't originally.
Yeah. Okay. Right. They turn Crisco from oil into solid shortening.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the stuff. All the trans fats are mostly in the hydrogenated
Okay, so
oils.
if God can predict the damn Civil War, supposedly, why can't he predict Crisco?
That's what I'm saying.
What's so hard about that?
And high fructose corn syrup. That stuff didn't exist back in Joe's day, but he's a freaking prophet.
Yeah.
He should be able to predict that
Exactly.
stuff. Right?
Exactly.
So
I'm with you.
So, and, even back in the day, they didn't have so much of the highly refined white bleached flour and bleached white sugar and stuff either. But
no, they didn't.
He should have been able to predict that stuff too and warn against that.
But they did have exercise.
They're out there plowing the field.
Oh, come on. No, I don't want to hear that crap because there's always been lawyers and doctors and executives and bankers and motherfuckers like that who sit at a desk all fucking day. That's not new. There may have been more laborers, a higher percentage of laborers in the economy then than there are today, but there's always been fucking lazy sit on the ass motherfuckers.
It's true.
Always.
And besides,
ever since there's been civilization, there's been somebody jockeying a desk.
Yeah. And this is kind of a sidebar, but the whole paleo thing now, with people wanting to eat that's the hunter-gatherers, like the hunter-gatherers did.
Yeah.
Well, here's what I've learned from watching some videos from paleontologists and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what? All these paleo people now, a lot of them are really into what's called CrossFit, like really, bursts of energy and moving it with intensity and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, guess what? According to the paleontologists, most of those people back in the old days, the Paleolithic days,
Yeah.
they freaking sat on their ass and just didn't do much of anything except for when they needed to get food.
Of course. Why would they?
They got food. What else was there to do?
There's no TV.
There's no gyms. There's no
place.
bikes.
There's no mall. There's no cheesecake factory.
Right. There's nothing.
Where are you gonna go?
There's nothing for them to do.
You can't go visit Grandma. Grandma's right there with you.
Yeah.
And where the hell are you gonna go?
I'll bet you. I think about this all the time when I see people out running down the street and stuff for exercise.
Yeah.
I bet those Paleolithic people, if they saw that, they'd be like, "What the hell is wrong with you? There's nothing chasing you."
Where's the fire, man?
Why are you running? Where are you running to?
I know.
Or what are you running from? Is probably a better question.
Yeah.
We're just so obsessed. But yeah, I don't know about Mormons.
Got to get your cardios.
They don't talk about it in the church, though.
No, exercise isn't a thing in the Mormon church.
It's not a thing.
It's mainly about tobacco, alcohol, and coffee and tea.
Yeah,
that's really.
Right.
If you ask someone what is the word of wisdom, and I think that's what the external world probably sees too. Isn't that the Mormons don't drink and smoke? Aren't they no coffee or something?
Yeah. Yeah.
They might know about that part. The tea, they might be a little more abstract. That's probably the poor cousin of all of the big four. The tobacco, the alcohol, the coffee, and tea. Tea is probably the least well known.
Yeah, I think it is too.
Outside the church.
But I was going to say in narcotics too. They're obviously, the LDS church is totally obviously against narcotics, but perfectly fine for people to be consuming over-the-counter prescription drugs.
Sure, if your doctor prescribes you OxyContin, go ahead and become a heroin addict because it's authorized by the doctor.
OxyContin and heroin are related?
OxyContin is basically synthetic heroin.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know if I knew that.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I knew that.
That's essentially...
Really? It's essentially the same thing?
Essentially produces the same high, the same addiction, the same blah, blah, blah.
Oh, no wonder Rush Limbaugh got so...
Oh, yeah, it's potent. It's all of those synthetic opiates are just as addictive as the real ones.
Yeah.
It's this, either it grows out of a poppy and then it's transformed into something chemically, or it's just made from the ground up. But in the end, you end up with the same basic chemical structure.
Huh. So, yeah, that's perfectly okay. If you want to take over-the-counter drugs as
hey,
much
Bishop,
as you
I'm
want,
high as fuck.
Yeah.
I had my wisdom teeth out yesterday, and I'm high as fuck today. Woo-hoo! Heroin!
I don't think they give you heroin when you get your teeth out. Do they give you OxyContin when you get
Vicodin, whatever.
Yeah,
it's all the same.
Yeah, or Valium. There are all kinds of medications that LDS people can totally take, and it's not a problem. Not against the word of wisdom. Bless you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Got some water down the wrong pipe.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Wasn't
what else?
the water pipe.
What else about the word of wisdom?
Well, I think that Mormons are addicted to sugar, white sugar. Why didn't God say anything about sugar?
Yeah.
Look, you go to a Mormon function, what do you get? Refreshments, some kind of cake or cinnamon rolls or some kind of punch.
Always punch.
Some kind of
There's
sugared
no
up
coffee
sugar,
or tea, so it's either water or punch.
Yeah, it's punch.
It's usually punch.
Mormon punch, which basically means you take some lemonade, some Kool-Aid, some juice, some whatever you can find, and you dash it all together.
With a big old cup of sugar.
And it's nasty. Nasty.
Yeah, and cake, big time cakes and stuff.
Cake, pie,
yeah,
cinnamon rolls.
I have to say, a lot of Mormons are really good cooks. I mean, you can have some tasty stuff at some Mormon get-togethers, but
Mormon kid growing up, what was
really...
your first impression when you were offered coffee cake?
You know, I never had a problem with it because I was raised with my mom making coffee cakes.
Okay,
so
so
I
you
just
knew
that was what it was
My
called.
mom wasn't really much of a baker, so we didn't have stuff like that really around that she didn't make. If she made a cake, it was because somebody's birthday or because there was a church function coming up and she was supposed to take a dessert.
Oh, gotcha.
But coffee cake was new to me probably about junior high school. And I found out there's this thing called coffee cake, and I was like, is it okay for me to eat this? I didn't know because it smells delicious. I want some.
But it smells nothing like coffee.
No, it doesn't. So it's got to be okay. And I ate it. It was good.
It's cake to have with coffee.
Yeah, that's what I found out. That's what I found out later. But just by the name, I didn't know. I'm just a little 11-year-old runt,
Yeah.
And I'm being offered coffee cake.
Well, my mom always made coffee cake, and I never really thought too much about it, but I did, I guess, in the back of my mind, realize that my mom is Swedish, and so her heritage, I mean, I pretty much have coffee running through my veins, I mean.
Well, those people up in those north countries got to stay warm. Now, wait a minute. Coffee is not from there.
Oh, but Swedes are huge coffee drinkers. They're like the biggest coffee drinkers in the world. The Swedes are.
Interesting.
So I was raised with stories of
Once the conquistadors brought coffee to Europe, the Swedes just said, we got to have that.
I guess. I don't know how they got their hands on it, but man, it took. And I was raised with my mom telling me stories of how my grandparents, her parents, they would drink coffee, but I think this is like a traditional Swedish way to drink it or something. They'd pour it out of their cup into their saucer, the little coffee saucer, to cool it.
Wow.
More quickly. And then they'd sip it off their saucer.
That's kind of weird.
Isn't that funny?
Why is that little plate called a saucer? I
know, like moment of silence.
What does that have to do with sauce?
I don't know.
You don't put sauce in it.
No.
It's a saucer? Is it supposed to hold your sauce?
Interesting question.
It holds a cup.
Yeah.
It should be called a little cup plate or something like that.
Indeed.
But it's called a saucer.
Yeah.
And if you throw it, it's a flying saucer. That's obviously where the name came from.
Obviously.
Flying saucer came from saucers because it looked like a little saucer.
So why is it? You know what? I'm like doomed on both sides of my family as far as the word of wisdom is concerned because my mom is Swedish. Big coffee drinkers. My dad's background are all British, so huge tea drinkers. So,
coffee or tea?
Coffee or tea?
Or me?
You.
There you go.
Can I have all three, please?
Yeah, I'd like some of each.
I want all three. So the whole thing about Mormons and the word of wisdom to me is that they don't obey all of the word of wisdom.
No.
They completely ignore significant parts of it, like the whole thing about meat and stuff, only eating it in winter and everything. And, the whole grain thing.
Bored obedience.
They eat a lot of grains that aren't wheat.
Wheat.
They definitely corn and rye.
Sure, lots of corn.
Oats.
Oh, corn.
Stuff.
They love the corn.
Oatmeal and stuff. Yeah.
And the word of wisdom doesn't say anything about beans.
Nothing about lentils whatsoever.
Not a word.
But they're kind of peas. They kind of grow in the ground, from the ground or whatever. So I guess that would kind of be covered in the...
We were talking about underground fruit.
Mm-hmm.
What about goobers, peanuts?
Peanuts.
They're not really fruit, but they're,
They're legumes.
They're goobers.
Yeah.
They're They're peas.
They're peas.
Goober peas.
That's right.
They're not nuts.
I wonder why. I know we're ranting here, but you got me thinking. I wonder why goobers. I wonder why peanuts are supposed to be dried out to eat, but like peas we cook to eat. Have you ever had cooked peanuts?
Like soft boiled peanuts?
Yeah, they do that in the South.
I would rather not have those.
Not so special. But anyhow, Mormons and the Word of Wisdom. It's thought-provoking stuff.
Are your thoughts provoked? Hey, provoked. Yes. Are you provoked?
Whole nother discussion there.
In your orum?
Yes.
Have we provoked your orum?
No.
All right, well, it's time to wrap it up. We've been at this for an hour, and y'all didn't call, so I guess we're not loved. We'll try again next time. Say goodbye, Tracy.
Bye, Jeff.